So it is like the second part. It is after 6 years. But now rates have come down. And what we're saying is assume the risk premium remains constant. The risk premium in 2018 is still applicable in 2024. So the first step is you have to find the risk premium. How much is that? The risk premium in 2018. How much is that? Correct. Janani, correct. Eranga, correct. You're fine. Your required rate of return is not correct, Rohan. No, sorry. There's an adjustment that you need to make. This is still the risk-free rate. So calculate the risk premium. Once you know the risk premium, calculate the new required rate of return. And now you can apply that to calculate the price. Right? Looks correct. Looks correct. Correct. Okay. So your risk premium is 1%, right? How did we arrive at that 1%? Your risk premium, what is our equation? We know that our required rate of return is equals to the risk-free rate plus the risk premium. In 2018, in 2018, we know that my required rate of return is 12%. It's been given to me that risk-free rate is 11%. That implies that the risk premium is 1%. If risk premium is 1%, then what is the new required rate of return? in 2024. In 2024 also, my equation doesn't change. The required rate of return is my risk-free rate plus risk premium. Risk-free rate, though, now is 10%. Risk premium is 1%. So you get 11%. And that is my required rate of return. Now, when I put my numbers, C doesn't change. It's still 1.25. It's the same bond. N doesn't change from part 2. It is 4 years to go. So N is 48. The only change is my required rate of return, R. R is now 11% divided by 12. Not 1%. It is 11 divided by 12. So how much is that? It's like 0.9167. So that is why there can be small rounding errors, right? 9167. So now I can put this to the equation. Price is equal to, sorry, this is 0.91, no? 0.09. And this comes to 112 point. There's a slight deviation due to the way you would have taken your number of decimal places, 0.09167 or 0.917, or how you took your number of decimal places. But somewhere 112.89, 112.92, they're very close. So what is happening here? I had a premium bond, which at the start of the period was 117. In 2018, it was 117. 2018, it was 117. In 2024, it should have been 109. But because interest rates came down, bond prices went up, and it's actually now worth 112. Any questions? Okay. Last one. So somebody is willing to trade in this bond at 85. It's in the market, it's available at 85. Do you think this bond is undervalued, overvalued, or fairly valued? So for this, you have to look at part 3, right? Compare it against part 3. What is the price of this bond? The intrinsic value of this bond? 112.92. Compare it against this and figure out whether it's overvalued, undervalued, or fairly valued. I'll just put out a poll. Try it. If it is, 1 second, let me tell you what this means. A stands for undervalued, B stands for overvalued, and C stands for fairly valued.
For this, madam, we have to look at it from a market perspective or from the intrinsic value of the
The
bond.
market price is the market price undervalued, overvalued, or fairly valued. Is the market price undervalued, overvalued, or fairly valued? I have one person to see also. Right. So, of the very few people who have answered, right, the majority answer is on undervalued. Is on undervalued. Let's see. So here I'm comparing the market price against this calculation, right? What is this calculation? What does this calculation say? This calculation tells me what is my intrinsic value. If you remember right at the beginning, we talked about this. We call this the present value of my future cash flows. We call this the intrinsic value of my bond, right? What do we mean by intrinsic value? We sometimes call this the fundamental value also, intrinsic value or fundamental value of my bond. What does that mean? It is the correct price of my bond based on the return that I want, based on the risk that I'm taking. It is the correct price of the bond based on the return that I want, which is based on the risk that I'm going to take. Okay. Because what is the return that I want? The return that I want is the return that compensates me for the risk that I'm taking. So that's why I discount it at a certain level. And when I discount it at my required rate of return, which compensates me for the risk, the price that I get is the maximum price I'm willing to pay, the maximum price I'm willing to pay to get the return that I want. So you have to understand when I get 112.92, what that means is the maximum price I'm willing to pay to get a return of 11%, because the return that I want is 11% now. The return that I want is 11%, right? To get a price of 11, so to get a return of 11%, the maximum price I'm willing to pay is 112.92. If I pay more than 112.92, what will happen? If I pay more than 112.92, what will happen? I will not get a 11% return. If I pay more than 112.92 to buy this bond, the return that I get to my hands will be less than 11%. And why is that not acceptable? Because for the risk that I am taking, I want 11% return. To justify the risk that I'm taking, I want 11% return. Okay. But if I pay anything more than 112.92, I'm not going to get that 11% return. My return will be lower. Therefore, what does my intrinsic value tell me? To justify the return that I want, or to justify the risk that I'm taking, the maximum price I'm willing to pay is this 112.92, the present value of my future cash flows, discounted at my required rate of return, which reflects the risk that I'm taking. In the market price is based on demand and supply. Demand and supply. So in the market, somebody is willing to buy this bond or sell this bond actually at 85. Do you think the market price is overvalued, undervalued, or fairly valued? What do you think? No, the market sentiment is what shows you this 85, right? So market sentiment is what essentially in the market the price is 85. Somebody is trading at 85. Okay. That's demand and supply. The present value of future cash flows is what shows you how much you're willing to pay for it, the maximum price you're willing to pay to get the return that you want. If you pay over this price, you're not going to get the return that you want. If you pay under this price, what will happen? If you pay less than 812, what will happen? In terms, you get a greater return. Is a greater return good or bad? It's good, right? You want a return of 11% to justify the risk that you're taking. But if I pay lower than 112, I'll get a return higher than 11%. That's even better. The minimum return I want is 11% to justify the risk that I'm taking. But now I can get higher. If I buy it at 85, I can get higher. So what does this tell me? What does my intrinsic value tell me? It is the maximum price I'm willing to pay to justify the risk that I'm taking. Market price is based on demand and supply. So when in the market, the bond is trading at 85 and you have an intrinsic value of 112, would you buy this bond from the market or not?
Buy.
You would buy it. You'd buy it because it is undervalued. Because if you buy it at 85, it more than justifies the return that you want, the risk that you take. You'll buy it because it is undervalued. So if I put it the other way around, if market price is 120, then is it overvalued, undervalued, or fairly valued?
Overvalued.
Yeah, then it is overvalued. Because the maximum price I will pay is 112. If I pay anything more than that, I won't get 11% return. And I want 11% return for the risk that I'm taking. So if in the market it's at 120, I will not buy it because it doesn't justify the risk that I'm taking. It is overvalued. So for those of you who are getting confused, one easy way to think about this is to think, will you buy it? If you're buying it because it is undervalued or fairly valued. If you're not buying it, you're not buying it because it is overvalued. Okay. So you always look at the market price and look at your results and think, will you buy it? If you're buying it from the market, it's either undervalued or fairly valued. When is it fairly valued? Fairly valued means you want 112, market price is also 112 when it is equal. But anything below is undervalued. Any questions? Okay. Let's do the last sum before we move on to accrued interest. Last pricing sum before we move on to accrued interest. Let's do it quickly. It's a very easy sum. Sorry, I was talking to myself. I was on mute. Sorry, I was saying that this is a zero coupon bond, right? That's why it makes it very easy. Because the calculations are very easy. There are no coupons. Coupons are zero. You don't get anything in between. You get the face value at the end of the period. That's why the calculations are very easy. Ranga looks correct. Mhm. Janvi, correct. Yeah. So good. So LOFC actually in 2018, they issued this 5-year zero coupon debenture. And investors were promised a return of 14.95. If investors invested in this, it is because their required rate of return is 14.95, correct? So, at what price would these investors have been offered the debenture? So, remember, it's a zero coupon bond. So, if you look at the cash flows, over the 5 years, there are no cash flows, right? This is year 0, this is year 5. There are no cash flows. At the end of the 5th year, you get back your face value. There are 2 ways to do this question. One is to use basics, right? One is to say price is equals to coupon divided by R, 1 minus 1 plus R, minus N, plus face value discount. Right? Only thing is, you see in this sum, the coupon is 0. Right? Coupon is 0. If coupon is 0, this entire term goes to 0. So only this term remains. So face value is 100 divided by 1 plus R. R is 14.95 to the power N. What is N? 5 years. And this comes to 49.83. Okay. That's the first part. Try the second part. Sorry. I said we can do it by 2 minutes, right? Same thing. Only thing is, if you remember the equation, future value equals present value 1 plus R to the power N. This equation is correct 1 plus r to the power n, as long as there are no multiple cash flows, correct? Here you have only one cash flow. What is your, if what I want to know is my present value. So my present value or my price is equals to face value divided by 1 plus r to the power n. Same thing, 100 divided by 1.1495. This should be 49.83. Try the second part. No answers yet. Okay. That looks okay. You are correct. And yeah, correct. Sorry, Janani, correct. You know, just check again. Okay, so now 3 years later. 3 years later, correct, you're incorrect. What are the things that we do know? Coupon is zero. Zero coupon bond. We have now 3 years have passed. 2 years more to go. So what is N? What is N? Is N 3 or is N 2?
2.
N is 2. We don't care about the past, we care about the future, right? N is 2, remaining time to maturity. And then R. What is R? R is 8%, not 14.95, 8. Interest rates have come down in 2021 from 14.95 in 2018 to 8% in 2021. So therefore, when we put these three together, we see that the price is equals to 100 divided by 1 plus R to the power 2. I think the answer is 85.73. 85.73. Okay. So the last part asks, this is based on part 2, okay? This is based on part 2. Is this debenture overvalued, undervalued, or fairly valued if the market price is 90? So same thing, undervalued is A, overvalued is B, fairly valued is C. Undervalued is A, overvalued is B, fairly valued is C. Okay. So again, other than one person who has answered, or two people, very few answers coming in. 60% right, 40% not right, but this is only out of 5 people, right? What is this? Market price is 85. Sorry, market price is 90. Market price is 90. Intrinsic value is 85. The maximum price I'm willing to pay to buy this bond and get a return of 8% is 85 rupees. In the market, this bond is available at 90 rupees. Will you buy it? Will you buy it?
No.
You will not buy it because the maximum price I'm willing to pay is 85. You will not buy it because it is overvalued. Any questions here? So always remember, market price talks about demand and supply. Intrinsic value is my fundamental value of the bond. It calculates the maximum price I'm willing to pay for the risk that I'm taking. The maximum price I'm willing to pay for the risk that I'm taking. So if my intrinsic value is greater than my market price, then the bond is undervalued. Like for example, intrinsic value is 85, and in the market the bond is trading at 80, bond is undervalued. Intrinsic value is 85, but market bond is trading at 90, bond is overvalued, because we always check with the market price. Is the market overvalued or undervalued? Okay. If intrinsic value is 85 and market price is 85, then it is fairly valued. This part, don't worry about it. We'll come to that when we do the yield section. Okay. So we come to this concept of accrued interest. Accrued interest. So now what we're trying to do here is when we're calculating or when we're looking at accrued interest, we're trying to figure out in between when we sell bonds, because all this time, all these examples that you did, the last few examples, right? 8 or so examples that we have done so far, everything assumes that we trade on an interest payment date. Although 6 years later, 8 years later, 3 years later, all those assumptions, all those calculations have an assumption. The trade is happening on an interest payment date. It's equal periods, right? That's why we can say N is 10, N is 8, right? It's not 8.5 or 8 and 1/3 or something like that. It's equal periods because the transaction is happening on an interest payment date. But we know that practically this is not the case, right? Practically, I can trade tomorrow. I can trade my bonds tomorrow. Now, what is the problem with being trading my bonds tomorrow and all that? One problem that arises with bonds is the fact that, say, for example, I use the same example that we used yesterday. Say a bond pays you quarterly coupons every calendar quarter, right? So 31st of December, next coupon will be paid 31st of March. So now we are on 18th of March. Today is what? 17th of March, right? And coupons are paid every calendar quarter. So the next coupon will be paid on 31st of March. Right? Today is, let's say, 18th. The settlement is happening on the 18th of March. Now, I'm a person who held this bond all this time, and I decide I want to sell the bond. In between the coupon payment date, right? Here, coupon will be paid. Here, coupon will be paid. But I decide to sell this on an in-between date, 18th of March, right? Problem is this. The next coupon will be paid to the person who buys this bond, right? So every single time, how is the coupon paid? The coupon is paid based on the person who holds the bond at the time the coupon payment is made. The person who holds the bond at the time the coupon payment is made. Now, what's the problem with this? It could be that the person only holds the bond for 1 day, but he gets the entire coupon. Like, for example, in debentures, for example, the registrars don't look for, okay, who held this debenture? You held it for 2 days, you held it for 3 days, you held it for 10 weeks. They don't look at it like that and prorate the coupon. What do? They pay the last person in the registry who holds the bond, the entire coupon goes to. But this is not fair for me, right? So if I look at the fact that, let's assume, I assumed yesterday that the coupons in my example are 10 rupees. I'm supposed to get a 10 rupees. If I waited till 31st of March, I would get 10 rupees. But because I'm selling on 18th of March, I'm not getting 10 rupees. These 10 rupees, whoever buys from me will get it. That's unfair, right? Because I held this bond from the last coupon payment date until the 18th. We call that D1 number of days. I held this bond for D1 number of days. But the person who holds it from the 18th to the 31st, 18th to the 31st, let's call that D2 number of days. They are not even entitled to the entire 10 rupee coupon, but they are going to get the entire 10 rupees. That's unfair. So, what can we do? At the point of sale, when the sale is happening, the party who's buying has to compensate the party who's selling what we call the interest that has accrued to him. We call this accrued interest. The interest that has accrued to the selling party. Okay. So you see, from the last coupon date, my bond interest keeps on accruing to me until it reaches the 10 rupee target, right? So on the last day, whoever holds it will get 10 rupees. But I held it from 31st of December all the way to 18th of May, like 2 months and 18 days, I have held it. Therefore, I need to be compensated for the period that I held it. This is what we call the accrued interest. Accrued interest. Accrued interest where you get compensated for the period that you held it. So how do I calculate accrued interest? What do? I look at, accrued interest is the amount that I should be compensated for when I trade on an in-between period, right? Because I don't get this full debenture value. How do they compensate me for accrued interest? They look at, this period, right? Not for the year. Because if you look at for the year, do you understand that you will probably get a 40 rupee coupon? On 31st December, you got 10 rupees. On 31st March, you're getting 10 rupees. And every calendar quarter, you're getting 10 rupees. So your total coupon is 40 rupees in my example here. But accrued interest only depends on the next coupon you're going to get. The next coupon you're going to get. The coupon for that period. So my 10 rupees is valid for this number of days. It is valid for this number of days. Let's call that D3. Right? So my per day, I am accruing interest of 10 divided by D3. That much of interest belongs to me. So when you come by, you have to pay me for the period that you didn't hold it, your number of days. This is what we call accrued interest. Any questions? Okay. So in the market, there is also this concept called clean price, dirty price, and accrued interest. Right? Clean price, dirty price, and accrued interest. What is this? What is the difference? Clean price is the price that clean price is the price that is quoted in the market without accrued interest. When somebody quotes you a price for a treasury bond or for a debenture, they are quoting it on a clean basis. Okay. This can be a market quote. This can be somebody telling you, okay, I can sell you the bond at 85 rupees. That price is on a clean basis without accrued interest. Okay. When you add the accrued interest to this price, we call this the invoice price. We also affectionately call it the dirty price. Dirty price. When we add the accrued interest to the price. So if I can just jump to last week's slides. Okay. You remember? Yeah. I showed you a slide. I showed you this slide, which was a screenshot of, it's an old screenshot I told you, but it's a screenshot of the debt market in Sri Lanka, right? A long time back. So here you will see the bids and offers of different debentures that are there. Bids and offers, somebody who's willing to buy, no bids are there in this market. But if somebody is willing to buy, the bids would be put here. And when somebody wants to sell, they indicate the price that they want to sell these debentures at, and that would be put here. Okay. These prices have been quoted on a clean basis. It does not include accrued interest. They have been quoted on a clean basis. So anywhere you see, anywhere in the world, prices get quoted on a clean basis. Now, generally, when we do deals, over-the-counter deals like for treasury bonds, we don't quote prices, we quote rates. But if we had quoted prices, prices would be quoted on a clean basis, not on a dirty basis, right? Not with the accrued interest. So you have to remember, anytime you look at this price is clean, doesn't have accrued interest. Okay. When you're paying, you have to add the accrued interest to the price. Add the accrued interest to the price to come up with your full invoice price or dirty price, as we call it. This is what I showed you last time. Okay, here you see, so this CDP debenture, right? And this is the price that is quoted on the board, 108.43. 108.43, this is actually the clean price. Clean price. Now, you remember I said the total amount that you pay is 16,914. How do I get that? From this. 16,914. Okay? 16,914. How does this 16,914 comes? If you multiply 108 into 8,200, sorry, how many shares will you buy? 150,000. If you multiply 108 into 150,000, how much are we getting? $16,265. 475. 16,265. Here it shows you 16,914. What is the difference between 108 into 150,000 showing 16,265 and the total value payable being 16,914? One difference between these two are fees. Brokerage charges, CSE fees, CDS fees, all of those, right? The second difference is accrued interest. Any questions? Okay. So let's try the last question before we stop. Based on everything we talked about, look at this example. Try that example. It's a very easy example. And after that, we are finally in line with the Saturday class. So we can stop at that point. you have questions, please ask. I think the correct answer is January's. From memory only, I'm saying this, I'm not positive, but I think that's correct. You're correct. Asiri, yes, correct. Okay. So that's pretty much essentially what are we looking at? You have a semi-annual coupon of 18% per annum. Okay. I hope that you all took that into account. I hope I was not remembering incorrectly.
Madam,
Yes,
so even if it doesn't say it's per annum, we have to assume it's per annum.
that's right. Yes. Because you don't usually give rates for the period, right? All the rates for the period are generally annualized. So even if it doesn't say per annum, you assume that it's per annum. Yeah. Johan, something is not correct. Check it again, please. So you have a semi-annual coupon of 18%. Bond is sold after 40 days. So how does this change? D1, D2, D3 remains the same. Only thing is now we need to know what is D1, what is D2, what is D3. So it says the semi-annual coupon is 18%. So the first thing that you need to do is calculate what is the coupon amount that you're going to get at the end of the period, right? In the next coupon date. So this is a very easy sum that you are trying, right? The next sum will not be as easy that we won't try this week. We try it next week, but the next sum will not be as easy. So when you do these types of sums, one of the first things that you do is you have to figure out what is the next coupon payment date and what is the last coupon payment date, right? So you try to figure out what is the last coupon payment. Why is this not changing? What is the last coupon payment? And what is the next coupon payment? And what is the settlement date? So here, these are not given. It's not relevant for you because it's not given, but you will need these as we go along for next week. So the first thing you do is figure out, okay, what is the coupon? The coupon is 18% per annum paid semi-annually. So how much is the coupon? How much is the coupon?
9%.
9%. How much is the coupon? There's a coupon
90.
rate. 9. Is it 9? No.
90.
90. Yes, sorry. It is 90. Right. So the coupon is 90, and this is the coupon that will accrue from the last coupon date to the next coupon date. I need to know how much belongs to me, T1. So what will I do? I will look at 90 rupees is for the entire period. 90 rupees divided by 183 days will give me the interest that belongs to me per day, the per day interest. Of this, 40 days of interest belongs to me. Bond is sold after 40 days. So 40 days of interest belongs to me. So how much is this? 90 divided by 183 into 40, 19.67. Right? 19.67. That's the accrued interest. Once I know this, what can I do? What are they asking? What is the invoice price or the dirty price? So the clean price is 890. Accrued interest is 19.67. Therefore, what is the dirty price? 909.67, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? This is the dirty price. Any questions? Okay. So next week, what we're going to essentially look at is we'll do a little bit more, slightly more complicated sum of accrued interest, right? Once we do the accrued interest calculation, what we will do is then bring everything together where we amalgamate the fact that how do I calculate the price of a bond on an in-between period? Now, all this time we calculated the price for the bonds on coupon payment dates. Now we calculate on an in-between period, right? So that finalizes like our bond section next week. So this week around Tuesday or so, Tuesday or Wednesday, you will get the first part of the assignment, okay? Not the first part, you will get the assignment. The full assignment will come to you, right? So if you remember right at the beginning of the course, I essentially said the assignment is what? It's an assignment where you have to construct a portfolio. It's a group assignment where you get into groups of 4 to 8 people, right? And I said if it's less than 4 or more than 8, there are penalties involved, right? There's a 5-mark penalty if the number of members in the group are less than 4 or more than 8. Within that 4 to 8 people, what you will do is you will construct a portfolio, right? So the data for the portfolio is what I will send across to you. I will send you formats in terms of how, in terms of where to enter that data. There'll be a format Excel file. There'll be a data Excel file, an Excel file with all the data, right? And to this portfolio, you are allowed to buy shares, debentures, commercial paper, treasury bonds, all these different types of equity and fixed income instruments you're allowed to buy, and the rates that you can purchase these at will be provided to you. Okay. Some rates you will have to find from the web. So the sources will be provided to you and you'll have to go to the web and get the rates. And the very first portfolio, what we call the initial portfolio, will be dated as at 15th of March. 15th of March is last Friday. Okay. So from 15th of March, so that's why I have to wait till about Tuesday until all the data has been released. The 15th of March is the Friday, and then the data gets released 16th, on Monday or so. Then I have to compile the data and I can send you the portfolio construction details on Tuesday or Wednesday, right? You have to take the data. All you have to do is pick and choose what of these like different sets of data that I have received. What do I want to buy in shares? What do I want to buy in bonds? What do I want to buy in debentures? there are minimum allocations that are there to make sure you buy something of everything, right? So that you all are buying something of everything. Minimum allocations are there. But after that, you can decide what you want to buy. Then you create that portfolio and you send it to me by next Friday, before next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday. Okay. So what is next Friday? Next Friday is, sorry, not the next Thursday, 28th. 28th Thursday, right? So you send me the portfolio by 28th of March. Okay. And every week from after this week, every week I will keep on sending to you these data files. Data files means every week you will get a new data file that will show you, okay, this is how the market has changed. And it's up to you to whether to update the portfolio or not. But the very first portfolio and the very last portfolio are mandatory portfolios. The very first portfolio is your first submission of the assignment, which is due on the 28th of March, right? That's mandatory. That carries marks. That is there to make sure that you have created a portfolio, and this portfolio can't change going forward. You can't create wrong portfolios and then change it as you go forward and say, "No, this was a bad pick. I'll pick something else." No, you can't do that. You create a portfolio, and that is your portfolio that you start with. You can decide to later on dispose shares or buy new shares or bonds or whatever later on, depending on your decision that you want to take later on. So this is how your assignment will work. The data, I have to wait until I get the data, compile the data. So you get the data on Tuesday, Wednesday. I urge you to get together with your groups and work on the data before Saturday, right? Because next week, Sunday is a holiday. The two classes should be combined. And by Saturday, I will discuss the assignment. And if you have not worked on it, you will not have questions. And if you don't have questions, all the questions will come when you can't access me, right? So I urge you to work on it. And if you have any questions, have it ready for Saturday. And we'll discuss the assignment on Saturday. And then on Thursday, 28th, you have to submit the first submission. It's mandatory. It carries penalties for non-submission, 5-mark penalties for non-submission. Right? And then you manage the portfolio for 10 weeks. And at the end of the 10-week period, the final submission is made. And then you have your presentation and viva, which will probably fall after your exams. Okay. So that's the assignment, and no further assignments will be provided. This is the assignment that you have. Any questions on this? I mean, you don't have a lot of information until you see the portfolios, but any clarifications? Yeah, it will be given to you. So there'll be a portfolio. It will generally work like a unit trust, where there'll be a value that is assigned where you will invest a certain amount, and based on that, later on we'll see how much it performs. But that will be given to you in your instructions that come with you along with the data. Okay, so we can stop at that point. Let's. So I'll send across, unless something drastic happens, I'll be sending across the assignment this week. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.